Hey, welcome back. Dave Guerra here. This is another episode, or second episode of The Weekly Leader, where I take two current events, talk about them, put a spin on leadership on them, and then I take one major issue that affects millions are affected by this. And no, not that many, but still, it's a leadership concern, and we definitely have to address it. And we must, we got to talk about it, because sometimes if we don't talk about it, we sweep it under the rug, then what have we got? We've got nothing. So let's get this episode started. All right, so the first thing I was going to talk about was about inflation and the rising prices and everything, and then the fear-mongering that's going on behind it. And then, well, the Russians, like Russians do, went off and did what they did. So we'll talk about them as well. That was the other part. I was going to continue that. But either way, let's look at this, and inflation, rising prices, and that fear-mongering that goes behind it. And what does it do? It's supposed to get you kind of in a situation, and usually the media that does that, and there's reporters out there that's all that they know what to do, is to instill fear in whatever they say, whether it's in the very somber tone, or they give you all these stats, they give you all these reasons. And again, as a leader, ensure that those that are falling for any kind of fear-mongering, understand that, hey, there's two sides to every story. Where there's a down, there's always going to be an up. When there's an up, there's going to be a down. Gasoline prices. During the pandemic, when we were all shut down, gasoline prices went down to like pennies, right? And then, but you know what I mean. It dropped, and then now look where it's at. 311. I saw a sign for 311 here in Texas. And this is Texas, mind you. And we're usually one of the last ones to get hit, but it's 311. I'm more sure it's 3, almost 4, or if not over 4, wherever you are. And it's just one of those things that, hey, don't forget, we lived through when it was really cheap. Now we got to deal with it up here because circumstances, which drove the prices down, circumstances are driving the price up. So as a leader, understand and share with everybody that, hey, just because it's up, don't panic. You made it through. You got here. You made it through when it was cheap. You can make it again. So understand that sometimes the bad news, whether it's in your control or not in your control, it has to be addressed. And as a leader, it falls on you to ensure that the bad news is addressed and delivered in a proper sense, in a proper term, and something that everybody can understand, and not anything that's going to generate fear. Because fear, while it sells, while advertisers buy into fear, it sells. It's obviously misleading. It's obviously one-sided, and it's obviously not what people want to hear. They also want to hear, hey, on the back end, there's good stuff happening. And I know it can't all be butterflies and moonbeams. No, it cannot be that. But understand that sometimes they also have to know that it can be that. It will be that again one day. The prices will come down again, but just not today. And let's work. Let's see what we can do to work to get those prices down. So again, fear-mongering, there's no room for that. Leaders, if you're bringing fear-mongering, guess what? You're not a good leader. You're not even a bad manager. So again, stop with that. If you live for that, don't do it. Just stop it. Okay, next one. The Russians, or Russia, invades the Ukraine, and there it is. The writing was on the wall. It was going to happen. And to the extreme that it has, well, it's nice to say that it's not going as the Russians planned. That's a good thing. The Ukrainians, they're going to fight for their country. And as I write this, or as I present this video, as I'm recording this video, the Russian capital, Kyiv, is on the verge of collapsing or holding its own. I don't know that yet. Time will tell, and by the time this gets posted on Saturday afternoon, we're going to know the resolution of that. But what's the leadership aspect of this? Again, you can see it. The leader, Zelensky, stepping out there, is donning a green uniform, or green uniform, I guess. He's getting out there and fighting. He's going to fight for his country. He's stepping up there, and he's going to go where the bullets are flying, and he's going to probably be sending some bullets down range. That's a leader. That's one you want to follow. It's not some other leader that's 3, 4, 5, 6,000 miles away, and go to the front lines and take care of business, and that's what you're there for. Zelensky's going to fight for his country. And whether it turns out good or bad, or he gets an opportunity to leave or, well, not. Either way, the last thing that we're seeing tonight, Friday, as I'm recording this, is he's getting out there. He's going to go fight for his country, just like everyone else is. Yeah, sure, he's ordered everybody 18 to 60 years of age to stay in the country and fight, but he's there with them. He's not do as I say, not as I do. Right? Do as I say, not as I do. No, he's actually out there. He's got his boots on the ground. He's got his boots on. He's got his weapon. He's going to send bullets down range, and who's ever on the other end will watch out. Because these guys, when, if you've ever been in a situation when you have to defend your own, you know that sometimes it's not pretty. But then again, that's the way it is. So at least this guy is putting his money where his mouth is, not his foot, not like the other guy. He's taking care of business. He's leading his people from the front. And folks, that's the kind of leader you definitely want. Doesn't have to be where the bullets are flying all the time. And I'm talking literal bullets. But you want leaders that are not afraid to get out there. You want leaders to be able to deliver on what they say. Now, all of that leads into today's leadership segment. Leadership issue, leadership problem, problems with leaders, leadership concerns. Well, as I mentioned about Zelensky, he's one of those. He puts his words where he puts his money where his mouth is. He's delivering on those. He's leading from the front. He's a do as I say and as I do kind of person. He's not like the other guy who's a do as I say, not as I do. He's not going to get out there in the front lines. Why would he, right? So, what kind of leader is that? So, do as I say, not as I do. They're out there. Those kinds of managers are out there, and they are out there. And it's 2022, and that nonsense is still going on. It's 2022, and there are still individuals with that manager mindset that will do that. There are individuals out there that believe that they can, with a heavy hand, make things happen as they dictate. Right? So, again, do as I say, not as I do. That's not a leadership tactic. That's not a leadership principle. That is not anything. It has nothing to do with leadership. That has to do with bad management. That has to do with bullying. That has to do with someone that just does not know how to lead people. That's rough. It's rough. New managers, up-and-coming leaders, you're going to get a little bit of that. But you also are going to definitely have to have a mentor. Somebody out there is going to say, grab you by the scruff and say, hey, that's not how it's done. That is not how you lead. You don't just sit there and pass, you pass judgment, or you just say you will, pass out commands. You will do this. Meanwhile, you're out there not doing that. And there's countless examples. You are a manager. You want all your staff to be in working at exactly 8 o'clock in the morning, but you're going to saunter in about 8:45, 9:05 because the line at the Starbucks was really long, and you got to have your coffee. That's not how it works. That's not how it works because again, there's no trust. They're not going to believe in you if that's all you're doing. If you're dictating, be here at 8, working at 8, but you're going to leisurely saunter in at 9 o'clock in the morning, well, guess what? It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way because, again, they're seeing you wanting to hold them accountable to an action that you refuse to hold yourself accountable to. So, again, as a leader, don't take that path. Don't take the path of do as I say, not as I do, because you're the leader, quote unquote. No, it's not a leader. It's a manager. You can't self-appoint yourself as a leader. We'll talk about that at a different time. But again, as I'm getting at, if you start figuring out that, hey, maybe you're taking down that path, you start seeing yourself journey down that path, check yourself, because you're going to wreck yourself. And it is that simple. All right, well, time to wrap it up. This is the second episode of The Weekly Leader. Come back again next week right here on the YouTube channel, and there'll be more. I'll bring some more. I'll get something else. But again, I don't think we're going to leave the topic of the Russia and the Ukraine and Ukraine mostly. We're not going to leave that gone. We're not going to let it go anytime soon. It's a really unfolding situation. It's a dynamic situation. It's a fluid situation. And we're going to hear a lot of bad things come out of this, but we're also going to see a lot of good things come out of this. A lot of great examples of what leading is all about. A lot of great examples about accountability, responsibility, taking action when no one else is taking action. We're going to see a lot of that, and it's going to come out. So keep your eye on that if you're not out there. And if you're deployed out there, stay safe, hunker down, head on a swivel, situational awareness, 360 degrees, anybody that's out there. Listen, I'm Dave Guerra. I thank you for stopping by and watching this episode of The Weekly Leader. This is episode 2. Again, I'll see you there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hey, if you got something to say, put your 10 cents down there because the 2 cents are free. So put them down there in the comment section. Talk to you next time. Have a good one.